What if I told you that Jessa Duggar, yes, the ever-private, always composed, fan favorite of the Duggar clan, just dropped a bombshell about her sixth pregnancy? We're not talking about your typical baby bump update or cute gender reveal. No, this is something far deeper, more emotional, and honestly, pretty shocking. In a rare and raw moment, Jessa opened up like never before, addressing fears, trauma, and a past heartbreak that still lingers. Fans who thought they knew the full story are now scrambling to piece together the emotional puzzle she just laid out. Was this pregnancy planned? Why is she being more vulnerable now than ever before? And what does this mean for her role in the Duggar legacy? Buckle up, because what Jessa just revealed changes everything. From whispers of loss to stunning moments of truth, we're breaking down exactly what she said and why fans are still trying to process it. Hello everyone, I am Christina. Welcome back to my channel. Please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for the latest news updates. Jessa Duggar's sixth pregnancy wasn't unveiled with the kind of polished PR-style fanfare that followers of the Duggar family might have expected. There wasn't a magazine exclusive, no dreamy countryside maternity shoot, no themed announcement with all 5 kids in coordinating outfits. Instead, Jessa shared the news through a deeply personal and emotionally raw video that immediately sent shockwaves across her fanbase. In the video, Jessa sat in a quiet, softly lit room, stripped of filters and flair. Her tone was calm, but her words were heavy with emotion. She opened up about how this pregnancy was unlike any of her previous ones, not because of the baby itself, but because of the trauma she was carrying into it. Just months earlier, Jessa had publicly revealed that she'd suffered a miscarriage, a painful experience that many fans saw her bravely process online. That loss clearly left a lasting imprint, one she's still wrestling with as she navigates this new chapter. Jessa didn't try to mask her feelings. She admitted that while she was thrilled to be expecting again, there was also a lingering sense of fear. Every doctor's appointment, every slight twinge, every day without movement brought moments of silent anxiety. She described the mental balancing act, trying to let joy in while guarding herself against the possibility of another heartbreak. What stunned viewers wasn't the pregnancy itself. After all, growing families are par for the course in Duggar world. It was the vulnerability in her voice, the honesty in her eyes, and the way she let down the wall that she's so often kept perfectly intact. Jessa, who's long been known for her composure and poise, looked and sounded like a woman still healing, still processing, still trying to reconcile past pain with present hope. For a public figure from a family where appearances are carefully curated, Jessa's decision to share her journey so authentically felt deeply uncharacteristic, and that's exactly why it resonated. Fans flooded the comments with support, noting how brave it was for her to speak so openly. Many said they felt more connected to her than ever before, not because she seemed perfect, but because she finally seemed human. In a way, the video marked a shift. Not just in Jessa's personal journey, but possibly in the broader Duggar narrative. For once, this wasn't a story about a growing family or another new baby. It was a story about grief, resilience, and the quiet strength it takes to keep going after loss. And for Jessa, this pregnancy isn't just about adding a 6th child. It's about reclaiming hope. Let's be honest, raising 5 kids is already a marathon without a finish line. From the moment the sun rises to well past bedtime, Jessa's day is packed with responsibilities. In her recent video, she offered a raw, behind-the-scenes look into what life is really like in the Seewald household. And spoiler alert, it's not always Instagram perfect. Between homeschooling sessions, endless loads of laundry, and preparing meals for a growing family, Jessa's hands are constantly full. She mentioned that there are days she forgets what quiet sounds like, and that solitude is a rare luxury. She described her routine as non-stop, and admitted that even with Ben's help, there are moments when the weight of it all becomes a bit too much. What sets this pregnancy apart is Jessa's decision to drop the facade. In previous seasons of Counting On, and even in her earlier YouTube videos, she often presented a calm, composed front, someone who made juggling 5 kids look almost effortless. But this time around, she's opening up about the struggles in a way she never has before. She's not afraid to show the chaos anymore, the sink full of dishes, the kids arguing in the background, or the tears she sheds after a tough day. There was one poignant moment in her video where she said, "I used to think sharing the hard stuff meant I was failing. Now I know it just means I'm human." Fans have rallied around her for this honesty. Many mothers commented how refreshing it was to see a Duggar being real about the pressures of motherhood. In a world dominated by curated perfection, Jessa's transparency is like a breath of fresh air. Another major difference is how Jessa is approaching this pregnancy mentally and emotionally. With her previous children, especially the first few, she said she felt the weight of outside expectations to bounce back quickly, keep the house spotless, and remain upbeat no matter what. But now, she's giving herself grace. She's allowing herself to slow down, ask for help, and admit when she's struggling. Jessa even talked about how her relationship with her older children is shifting. Now that Spurgeon and Henry are getting older, she's involving them more in day-to-day tasks, teaching them responsibility, but also relying on them in small but meaningful ways. They're not just kids anymore, they're part of the team, she explained. And while she's grateful for their help, she also acknowledged the emotional weight of making sure each child feels seen and loved, especially with a new baby on the way. It's a delicate balancing act, one that's constantly evolving as their family grows. All of this makes baby number 6 feel different. Not just because it's another addition to an already busy household, but because Jessa herself is in a different place. She's no longer chasing perfection. She's embracing the mess, the madness, and the miracle of it all. And that's why this pregnancy is hitting differently, not just for Jessa, but for the thousands of viewers who see a little bit of themselves in her journey. While Jessa's emotional pregnancy reveal took most of the spotlight, fans couldn't help but notice another undercurrent running through her video: Ben Seewald's evolving role as husband, father, and provider. For years, he's been portrayed as the calm and supportive partner, always willing to lend a helping hand and serve as a steady presence in the whirlwind of Duggar-sized parenting. But now, the tone has subtly shifted. In her update, Jessa didn't shy away from acknowledging the real strain on Ben. She mentioned, almost in passing, that he's been working so hard behind the scenes to keep things running smoothly. From late-night parenting duties to balancing work and ministry obligations, it's becoming more obvious that Ben is under tremendous pressure. And the way Jessa's voice slightly wavered while speaking about his efforts didn't go unnoticed by viewers. Many longtime fans are beginning to ask, is Ben silently burning out? He's already juggling a lot, managing their household, being present for 5 young children, and trying to maintain his theological work and ministry aspirations. With baby number 6 on the way, the load is only going to get heavier. Some viewers speculate that Ben may not have the support system he needs himself. After all, while Jessa has her sisters and family to talk to, Ben's network isn't as visible. And unlike the Duggar women, who were raised in a culture that normalized large family chaos, Ben entered this world as an outsider. Sure, he's adjusted over the years, but adjusting and thriving are two very different things. With every new child, the demand for his time, attention, and emotional presence increases. That's a huge weight for any man, even one as soft-spoken and seemingly grounded as Ben. On the flip side, some fans are praising him. They see him as a strong, faithful man committed to his family's well-being. To them, the very fact that he's not publicly complaining or falling apart speaks volumes about his character. They admire that he's stayed beside Jessa through miscarriages, grief, and online criticism, all while continuing to serve his family in quiet, intentional ways. But it begs the question, how much longer can this rhythm hold? And what happens if Ben, like so many overwhelmed parents before him, starts to emotionally or spiritually detach? Jessa and Ben have always framed their parenting journey around faith, duty, and grace. But baby number 6 may push both of them, especially Ben, to their limits. And as fans continue to read between the lines of Jessa's updates, there's growing curiosity over how much longer Ben can maintain the appearance of balance without faltering. Whether he's being stretched too thin or simply rising to meet an extraordinary challenge, One thing is certain. Ben Seewald's role in this next chapter of their family story will be more crucial and more scrutinized than ever. In the past, a Duggar pregnancy was a moment of collective jubilation, group photos, gender reveal parties, and congratulatory posts flying in from all corners of the family. But this time, the silence is loud. When Jessa made her announcement, fans expected an immediate flood of congratulations from her siblings and parents. But that didn't happen. Instead, what followed was crickets. No big Instagram posts from Joanna. No heart emojis from Jinger. Not even a repost from the Duggar family official account. That absence speaks volumes. According to one family insider, Jim, Bob, and Michelle are quietly supportive but also concerned about how Jessa and Ben are holding up. After all, raising 6 young children without hired help is no small feat, even in a family used to large numbers. There are whispers that Michelle, who famously raised 19 children, has suggested more structured routines or even outside assistance, but Jessa hasn't taken the advice well. And then there's the sisters. Jinger, who now lives a completely different life in Los Angeles and has openly criticized the strict rules she grew up with, hasn't made any public comments. Fans believe this silence isn't accidental. It's part of the emotional distance she's intentionally placed between herself and the Duggar world. Jinger's been selective in her interactions with the family, and this pregnancy, like many recent events, may simply not be on her radar anymore. Jill Duggar-Dillard, too, has remained quiet. Given her complicated history with her parents, this might not be surprising. She and her husband, Derek, have distanced themselves for years, citing control issues and financial exploitation. Jill has even penned a memoir where she shares her trauma from growing up under Jim Bob's rule. Her silence on Jessa's news has sparked fan theories. Some believe Jill is staying out of it as a form of silent protest, while others think she may have quietly reached out behind the scenes. Joanna and Jana, on the other hand, have posted regularly about other life events, outings, gardening, family meals, but haven't mentioned Jessa's pregnancy at all. Some fans think this is an intentional snub, while others believe it's simply a shift in priorities as the siblings grow older and more independent. Even the official Duggar family social media accounts have treated the news with a noticeable lack of enthusiasm. No promotional post, no Bible quote about children being a blessing, no repost of Jessa's video. Compare this to earlier pregnancies when each child's announcement felt like a national holiday within the Duggar online universe. This change suggests that the tight-knit family image they once carefully maintained might finally be unraveling. One particularly emotional observation from fans: Michelle Duggar has always been front and center during her daughter's pregnancies, offering advice, helping with newborns, and even appearing in birthing videos. But with Jessa's 6th baby on the way, there's been no sign of Michelle stepping into that maternal role. Is she backing off to give Jessa space? Or is there something deeper brewing beneath the surface? The truth is, the Duggar family isn't the same. The cracks in their perfect image have widened in recent years, between Josh's scandals, Jill's estrangement, Jinger's rebuke of their upbringing, and the family's decreasing public unity. The foundation has clearly shifted. So while Jessa may still be part of the core Duggar crew, her latest pregnancy feels more like a solitary journey than a celebrated family milestone. The lack of public support, the social media silence, and the subdued response all hint at something fans have suspected for a while. The Duggar family may never return to what it once was. And maybe that's exactly what Jessa wants. Jessa didn't shy away from the emotional weight she's carrying. In fact, her openness about the anxiety and lingering grief from her previous pregnancy loss is what truly resonated with so many fans. She admitted that while she was excited to be expecting again, that joy came with a cloud of uncertainty, an ever-present what if that haunts every doctor's appointment and milestone. She described how hard it was to go through the motions without letting fear take over. Simple things like preparing baby clothes or discussing names felt emotionally loaded. There's a tension between hope and caution that she's living in daily. Her voice cracked at one point when she said, "It's hard to let yourself get too excited, because in the back of your mind, you wonder if it could all be taken away again." But perhaps what struck viewers the most was how she clung to her faith through it all. Jessa emphasized that she's had to remind herself, sometimes several times a day, that she isn't in control. That surrender has become both her comfort and her challenge. She shared scripture passages that have helped her cope, even quoting, "Perfect love casts out fear," as a verse she returns to during her most anxious moments. She also acknowledged that faith doesn't mean everything is suddenly easy or pain-free. In fact, she admitted she's still very much in the process of healing, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. And that process, she said, isn't linear. Some days she feels peace, and others, she wakes up terrified. Still, Jessa says she believes that there's a purpose in this season of uncertainty. Whether it's to grow her trust in God, to connect with other women who've experienced loss, or to simply learn how to embrace each day with gratitude, she's trying to focus on the present, not just the fears of the future. What really makes this part of her story so impactful is that she isn't presenting herself as having all the answers. She's not claiming to have it all figured out. Instead, she's showing what it looks like to walk through fear with faith, not instead of it. And for many fans, that's what made her announcement so relatable. In a culture where influencers often present perfect lives and glowing pregnancy updates, Jessa's honesty was a breath of fresh air. It reminded viewers that it's okay to be afraid, okay to grieve what was lost, and still okay to hope for what's ahead. She even shared that she and Ben have had long, tear-filled conversations about how this time feels different. They're trying to stay grounded, taking things one day at a time and leaning into each other for strength. Jessa also mentioned how much she appreciates the support she's received from women who reached out after her miscarriage. She said it gave her the courage to speak up now, hoping that her vulnerability might help someone else. As the video began to wind down, Jessa offered a heartfelt thanks to her viewers for their prayers, love, and encouragement. Her voice was quiet, but steady, as she expressed hope that her story, no matter how it unfolds, would be a testimony of God's faithfulness. And that's really the message she left us with. Not a polished ending or a neat bow tied around her journey, but an honest glimpse into a woman navigating the deep waters of faith, loss, motherhood, and hope, all at once. When it comes to the Duggars, fan response is never monolithic, and this time was no different. The reaction to Jessa's pregnancy announcement has been a whirlwind of praise, critique, and emotional connection. The online community immediately lit up with reactions the moment her video dropped. On one side, many fans flooded Jessa's comment section with heartfelt messages of support. They praised her raw honesty and emotional vulnerability, saying it was refreshing to see a Duggar break from the polished image we're so used to. One commenter wrote, "Jessa, thank you for sharing your real life. So many of us needed to hear that it's okay to be overwhelmed sometimes." Another added, "You've made me feel seen. Motherhood is hard, and you just gave it a voice." Many viewers also applauded the strength it must have taken for her to open up about past pregnancy loss and how that trauma still lingers. In the world of YouTube influencers and curated perfection, Jessa's subdued, tearful confession stood out. For some fans, this moment marked a turning point. It was no longer about the Duggar name, it was about Jessa, the mother and woman who just happens to be navigating life under a microscope. However, not everyone was on board. A vocal subset of viewers expressed concern over what they perceived as recklessness. With 5 young children already and a visibly exhausted demeanor in her video, critics questioned whether this was the right time to expand the family again. Some pointed out that Ben and Jessa appear stretched thin, both emotionally and financially. One user asked bluntly, "Why keep having kids if you're overwhelmed? Is this sustainable?" Others called it irresponsible and tone-deaf, especially in a post-pandemic world where many families are struggling. Still, others framed the criticism more as tough love. They sympathized with Jessa's struggles, but encouraged her to consider slowing down and focusing on her current children. There was concern that in trying to maintain an image or even to uphold the values she was raised with, Jessa may be neglecting her own well-being. Interestingly, some longtime Duggar followers also compared this announcement to past ones, noting a shift in tone. Gone was the chipper, overly smiley Jessa. In her place was a woman deeply introspective and cautiously hopeful. This change, many said, actually made her more relatable and perhaps more in tune with what viewers want to see in the modern era. And then there were the deeply personal fan reactions, stories from viewers who had also experienced pregnancy after loss. Jessa's openness created a safe space for others to share. Dozens of people shared how they, too, had cried through doctor's visits or held their breath during ultrasounds, fearing the worst. The comments were flooded with testimonies like, "Your story mirrors mine. I'm pregnant after a miscarriage, and every day is terrifying. Thank you for not pretending it's easy." There were also parents chiming in from large families, offering both reassurance and warnings. Some said, "I've got 7 kids. It's chaos but worth it." Others admitted that more children came with unexpected emotional and financial tolls they hadn't fully considered until years later. Ultimately, the fan response has been deeply nuanced. While a fraction of commenters questioned the Seewald's decisions, the majority came to Jessa's defense. Whether they agreed with having a 6th child or not, most people seemed to agree on one thing: her bravery in speaking out deserves recognition. In a media landscape saturated with curated perfection and toxic positivity, Jessa's video broke the mold. She wasn't just announcing a baby. She was letting the world into her pain, her fears, and her uncertainty. And for that, many fans, whether critics or supporters, expressed something rare in online spaces: empathy. So, what comes next? According to Jessa, she's planning to keep fans in the loop, but on her own terms. She's made it clear that this time around, she doesn't want to feel pressured into creating polished pregnancy updates or sharing every little milestone. In her words, she wants to live in the moment and only share when it feels right, not because people are demanding answers or waiting for the next big post. That approach might disappoint some followers who are used to curated bump photos and gender reveal content. But for others, it's refreshing. After years of being in the spotlight, Jessa is prioritizing her mental health, her family's well-being, and, most importantly, her peace. Of course, that hasn't stopped the rumor mill from turning. There's been ongoing speculation that TLC might be eyeing a return for Jessa, especially since her pregnancy storyline could draw big ratings. But insiders close to the family suggest she's extremely hesitant. She's seen the toll reality TV can take, not just on her, but on her siblings and her parents. And with the backlash that comes anytime a Duggar shares something personal, she's walking a very cautious path. Right now, it looks like Jessa is focusing on maintaining a balance between public transparency and private boundaries. She wants to share, but not overshare. She wants to be real, but not vulnerable to unnecessary criticism. And honestly, given everything she's been through, the heartbreak, the public pressure, the trauma, it's hard to blame her. Regardless of how much she reveals in the coming weeks, one thing is certain: this pregnancy will be one of the most closely watched and talked about moments in Duggar history. Whether she steps away from the spotlight or leans into it just a little, fans will be listening. And with every quiet update or heartfelt video, Jessa is once again redefining what it means to be a Duggar in today's world. Jessa Duggar's 6th pregnancy isn't just another family milestone. It's a deeply personal chapter that reveals her strength, vulnerability, and evolution as a mother and woman. In choosing to share her journey so candidly, Jessa has peeled back the layers of public perception and allowed fans to witness the raw, unfiltered truth behind the curated images. She's not just growing her family, she's growing emotionally, spiritually, and in ways that challenge everything we thought we knew about her. Her story is a reminder that motherhood is messy, beautiful, exhausting, and brave, all at once. So whether you agree with her choices or not, one thing's for sure: Jessa is no longer just playing a role in the Duggar legacy. She's rewriting her own. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think. Until next time, take care.